Hello and welcome to yesterday's tech. Today we'll review the MacBook Air from 2017, and this laptop is meant to be an update for the MacBook Air from 2015. Today the MacBook Air is the entry level into laptops in the Apple ecosystem, with the MacBook Pro being the king if we consider only portable devices. This MacBook has a 13-inch TFT LED backlit screen with a native resolution of 1440 by 900 pixels, and it has a 16 by 10 aspect ratio. Above the screen we have a webcam which supports 720p. The body is thicker than the screen, obviously, but not much, and it has a total of 6 inputs. One for charging, one is a multi-jack for both microphone and headphones, one Thunderbolt 2, two USB 3.0 and one SD card reader which supports up to SDXC. All these are packed in a thin aluminum case. It weighs only a bit under 2.96 pounds, 1.3 kilograms, and the thicker point is only 0.68 inch, which means 1.7 centimeters. The keyboard is backlit and the trackpad is pretty much as always been, and of course supports gestures. Inside of this MacBook is an i5 5350U at 1.8 GHz, 64-bit architecture, and supports a turbo boost up to 2.9 GHz, 8 gigs of RAM, and 128 or 256 gigs SSD for storage. This one in particular has 128 gigs. The graphics card is an Intel HD 6000 and shares the system memory. Well, keeping in mind this is meant especially for portability and for standard daily use, I would say this MacBook is perfect and there's nothing to complain about. If we dig deep and have some big expectations, this MacBook is definitely not for such purposes. Its first limit is the GPU. Almost none of past 10 years games would work on this MacBook Air. Even though some will apparently work, they'll work on very low FPS. Also, if you're trying to work on photo editing and you mind to use plenty of layers and work on a very large image, it may be very unresponsive. Since the GPU shares the system memory, being unable to upgrade your RAM would make this MacBook pretty low on perspective, because sooner or later 8 gigs will not be enough, and once we'll need to upgrade to 16, since this is not possible, it may remain mostly for browsing. I would also miss at least one more USB port. I don't remember when I ever really needed 4 USB at the same time on a laptop, but I certainly remember when I used 3, and here are only 2. For 2020 there would have been great if there was at least one USB-C, but it doesn't have any. About speakers, I've heard better, but I have to admit, considering its size, they sound pretty good. Of course, if you want to get a better result, you can always connect it to an external speaker by using the jack output or by connecting to a Bluetooth speaker. Regarding Bluetooth speakers, I have reviewed JBL Charge 2 Plus. Check the link in the description. What is nice is that it has dual microphone, so in a video call your voice can be easily recognized and used above the ambient noise. This is a sample of how the MacBook microphone is recording. Of course, if you'd want a better result, you may want to use an external microphone by using the headphone jack, and thankfully this is possible without any adapter. That's available for standard headphones, which includes the microphone, the usual headphones for a smartphone. Otherwise you will just need a splitter. The last thing I kinda dislike is the screen. Even though it has a great contrast and great colors, being glossy it reflects a lot of light. It's known that glossy screens have more vivid colors and they may offer a better image in some favorable conditions, but since this is meant to be carried in lots of various environments, I think a matte display would have been better. The front camera is pretty good for a FaceTime HD camera, and this is a sample of how the front camera is recording. If you use a Thunderbolt adapter, you can connect this MacBook to an external display and its maximum output resolution is 4K. The keyboard is comfy and silent, and I kinda love it, especially when we talk about laptop. The backlit feature is nice too, and the shortcut keys for adjusting the light power is great. So you can use it just to make sure you see the keys but without getting disturbed by too much light. This has the butterfly keyboard, and this type of keyboard is known as being very controversial. However, not all users had problems with it, but they may appear anytime. The storage space is quite small in my opinion, and I'm not talking especially about this one with only 128 gigs, but even the other version with 256 gigs is not enough in my opinion. For an extra cost, it could be configured up to 512 gigs, and only at this point it becomes comfy regarding storage space. The battery is really good, and in normal circumstances it can handle ordinary tasks up to 10 hours, which is great. What's really good is this MacBook can be updated to Catalina, which is the up-to-date operating system by Apple. That means this laptop is future-proof, at least for a few years from now. This way you can be sure you'll be able to use any software released for Mac, and with its specs, most softwares will be handled. I think this laptop has a great ratio between weight, size and performance, and as long as you don't want to be a heavy gamer while you're traveling or use it as a monstrous workstation, it will do the job. In fact, if you want to stay in this ecosystem and you have more expectations from a portable device, there's the MacBook Pro with its pros and cons, being larger and heavier than this one. MacBook Air as a laptop category was always one of the lightest laptops, and this one from 2017 makes no exception. Even if you wanna take it with you and it's raining outside, you can just put it into a plastic folder and you're good to go. You'll definitely won't have back pain for carrying your laptop with you. So, what you should have in mind, this laptop is great for daily use but not upgradable. Replacing the battery is not easy, and RAM is on board, so cannot be replaced or upgraded. If you have a MacBook Air from 2017, let me know about your experience with this laptop. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video.